Dear Mr. President, please listen to your own words.
Transparency generally is so important in this entire process because the more American people know, the more government is going to be held accountable. Every American has health care that's at least as good as the health care I've got as a member of Congress. You know, I respect what the Clintons tried to do in 1993 in moving health reform forward. But they made one really big mistake, and that is they took all their people and all their experts into a room and then they closed the door. And they tried to design the plan in isolation from the American people. And during that period of time, the insurance companies and the drug companies and the HMOs, they mobilized. Now, I will do it entirely differently. Within the first 100 days of my administration, we are going to have a big table, and everybody's going to be invited. Labor, employers, doctors, nurses, hospital administrators, patient advocate groups, the drug and insurance companies, they'll all get a seat at the table. They just won't get to buy every chair. And we will work on this process publicly. It'll be on C-SPAN. It will be streaming over the net. And every time we hit a glitch where somebody says, well, no, we can't lower drug prices because of, you know, the R&D costs that drug companies need, well, we'll present data and facts that make it more difficult for people to carry the water of the special interests because it's public. And if they start running Harry and Louise ads, I'll run my own ads, or I'll send out something on YouTube. I'm president.
Mr. President, the defeat in Massachusetts is coming. Like many good Americans, we all will be very sad and disappointed to see that Mrs. Martha Coakley has lost Senate seat that was once held by Lion of the Senate because of your policies. You surrounded yourself with corrupt cronies from Chicago only to be covered with different shades.
Bringing all parties together and broadcasting those negotiations on C-SPAN so that the American people can see what the choices are. Because part of what we have to do is enlist the American people in this process.
I would put my plan forward and I would welcome input and say, here are my goals: reduced costs, increased quality, coverage for everybody. If you have better ideas, please present them. But these negotiations will be on C-SPAN. And so the public will be part of the conversation and will see the choices that are being made.
You know, I respect what the Clintons tried to do in 1993 in moving health reform forward. But they made one really big mistake, and that is they took all their people and all their experts into a room and then they closed the door. We will work on this process publicly. It'll be on C-SPAN. It will be streaming over the net.
Martha is probably the victim of ruthless deception in Washington in general and scrupulous behavior of Obama administration and his cronies in particular. This defeat was well deserved and almost sure because general public was duped by Obama personally. Obama and his administration had all the rights to think that they are smart bunch, but were arrogant to think that general public is stupid. Can you just think that one of the greatest orators of America can lose because he kicked the transparency, honesty, and commitment with his arrogance, manipulative, and deceptive behavior? If there is one reason why Obama deserved this stunning defeat, it is his dishonesty about transparency. You must keep your promise, Mr. President.
Have the negotiations televised on C-SPAN so that people can see who is making arguments on behalf of their constituents and who are making arguments on behalf of the drug companies or the insurance companies.
But here's the thing. We're going to do all these negotiations on C-SPAN. So the American people will be able to watch these negotiations.
Drug and insurance companies will have a seat at the table. They just won't be able to buy every single chair. And we will have a public process for forming this plan. It'll be televised on C-SPAN. I can't guarantee it'll be exciting, so not everybody is going to be watching it. But it will be transparent and accountable to the American people.
To the drug and the insurance companies, who are still going to have a lot of power in Washington, and are still going to try to block it. For example, that I want the negotiations to be taking place on C-SPAN.
So I'll put forward my plan, but what I'll say is, look, if you've got better ideas, I'm happy to listen to them. But all this will be done on C-SPAN, in front of the public.
And one of my jobs as the president will be to guide this process so that it's an honest process.
Mr. President, people believed you and you let them down. You may be a good man, but you did not show your integrity. Did you know and did you see this coming? If Democrats lose this seat on Tuesday, the Lion of the Senate, late Ted Kennedy, will be crying and shouting, "Obama, we were defeated due to your broken promises and lies about health care debate on C-SPAN. Shame and disappointment." Mr. President, you ask people not to give up on voting and advocacy. For what? For the people, those who say one thing and just do the opposite? For people for whom promise means nothing? We really need a big mob.
What I reject is when some folks, all they've got to say is, let's go back and do the things that we were doing that got us into this mess in the first place. That's all. That's all they've got to say. Like we forgot. We didn't forget. It was only 9 months ago. We understand exactly who and what got us into this mess. Now, we don't mind cleaning it up. Yeah, I'm grabbing my mop and my broom, and you know, we're scrubbing the floors and trying to neaten things up. But don't just stand there and say you're not holding the mop right. Don't just stand there and say you're not mopping fast enough. Don't accuse me of having a socialist mop. Instead of standing on the sidelines, why don't you grab a mop? Help us clean up this mess and get America back on track. I don't mind cleaning it up, but you know, sheesh. Feel a little shame. I'm busy. Nancy's busy with our mop cleaning up somebody else's mess. We don't want somebody sitting back saying you're not holding the mop the right way. Now, why don't you grab a mop? The non-Democrats, why don't you help clean up? Why don't you grab a mop? I want everybody to know we believe in a strong and loyal opposition. You're not mopping fast enough. I believe socialism.
I have come here tonight to stand with you, to change America, to restore its future, to rise to our best ideals, and to elect Barack Obama President of the United States.
Nomination 4 years later.
We stand today on the edge of a new frontier, the frontier of the 1960s, the frontier of unknown opportunities and perils, the frontier of unfilled hopes and unfilled threats.
Those images include a memorable inaugural.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
You'll be. The left hand now knows what the right hand is doing. Too many OBGYNs aren't able to practice their love with women all across the country. See, I don't think you can be. There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.